Thanks for staying tuned. If you're just joining in, it is the Saturday morning edition of the Morning Drive on Providence Television International, and this is the interview segment. On the interview segment, we'll be looking at an issue that affects quite a lot of people, but on, should I say, the positive, depending on which way you want to look at it, or the negative, on our interview segment this morning. Today is a Saturday, and so many people, as at this time that we are actually having this program, are get up. They've started getting ready for one social event or the other. And the question is, social events today, especially in times like this, where you have expensive ones, is it a plus or minus? We have seen situations where so many things happen immediately after these events. To discuss this issue of expensive social events, I have with me in the studio, once again, Dr. Emmanuel Ehariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you very much. A very topical issue, I guess, and I hope our viewers will stay tuned to us throughout.
Exactly. Now, we have seen situations where people, when they want to carry out events, they go borrowing just because they want to please other people. This issue, where did this stem from? In your time, did you have to impress people to celebrate?
In my time, everything was modest. It was modest. And what is happening now has to do with profligacy. Huge profligacy. I mean, people are borrowing, you said so. They even go to the banks to borrow money to do burial ceremonies, birthday ceremonies, and all sorts of things. And even for marriages, a lot of couples I know have gone bankrupt after marriage ceremonies. Why must that be? We are living in an environment that ought to do things in a very modest manner, because particularly now the economy is not even good. You see a lot of things in social media. People just flaunting things. They're just doing things that are simply out of this world, just because you want to celebrate. I mean, can't you do things modestly? Can't you do things within limits? I've often asked myself, now take Benin for instance. In those days, I mean, I grew up to meet that, when you were carrying out burial ceremony, just simple things. You didn't have to slaughter 10 cows and all of that. You didn't have to. Just some goats and probably one or two things. You cook for people around you. But now, what do you find? You have people carrying as many as 40 canopies. Yes, 40 canopies, sometimes 50 canopies. And worse still, I don't know if you have ever noticed this. People who go to parties now carry extra bags,
yes,
for extra luggages, because they know that when they are coming from there will be a lot to eat and drink. And we don't need to do that. We don't need to. Okay? It has become so highfalutin, the way we celebrate. Can't we learn to celebrate quietly? Yes, we can learn to. I mean, there's no harm in celebrating quietly.
Okay.
Right? No, there's no harm. In fact, there's even more glory in celebrating. Look, and this has nothing to do with our culture. Let me even mention that. Our culture promotes modesty.
Okay.
In marriage, in all of that. Modesty, that's the key word. Yes. You want to bury your father or your mother, invite people in your neighborhood, your friends, and get to know that you are catering for a particular number of people. Yes, a particular number of people, maybe a little extra. But what do you find now? People go to the banks, they borrow money, not to invest, but to bury the dead. Okay? And this is the dead that they didn't take care of when he was alive. In fact, that's even the tragedy of it all. I've seen people, they come from abroad, they do all sorts of very funny things to bury their father, who died in penury. Yes, he died in penury. They didn't look after the old man. He died in penury. I've seen it with my eyes. And they come from abroad, from the US, from Japan, and all sorts of places. They begin to do very weird things. And you ask them, say, no, I want to give my father a befitting burial.
You see, I was
you didn't give him a befitting living.
Yes.
When he was alive. You are giving him a befitting burial.
You know, you mentioned something that in your time it was modest.
Very modest.
And so, what do you think would have caused this change? Is it not still, because I know that there are some traditions where you have, we're Benin, where you have the Egbers who demand for this and demand for that, not caring about the financial status of these the diseased kids. Do you think that this trend has now generated into, okay, if I can do this for the Egbers, why don't I now do it, make it large for other people? Do you think
Yes,
the Egbers are a contribution?
the Egbe people you are talking about, they are to blame.
Okay.
Yes, they are to blame because, and I think that with due respect, Royal Palace should really talk about this. Because as I said, the Benin culture never promoted immodesty. No, it never did. I mean, I grew up in this place, all right? But you find the Egbe people, I mean, they also do a lot of strange things. If the first son, the eldest son, is not wealthy, they sidetrack him.
Yes.
And they go for the younger one
Very
who has
true.
all the money to spend. They do that regularly. And that shouldn't be. All right? They sidetrack him. And the eldest son becomes subservient to the younger ones because the younger ones have all the dollars to spray and all sort of things. That is immoral. In fact, it's the height of immorality and wickedness. And we must do something about that. These are values that we have lost.
Okay.
There's a program coming up on this station. It's already on our schedule. Very soon we'll start it. The way it was. Yes. We have lost a lot of our values. Our value system is all gone. It's gone. Where did we get all these kind of things from? Incursions from other cultures.
Okay.
Incursions. And even those cultures we are talking about, they are beginning to think twice. It was never, I mean, I was born in Lagos. The Yoruba people, when they want to do very modest parties, you know, just in front of their houses, if you are coming, you want to eat, okay, sure, go ahead. But not these kind of flamboyant things that we are seeing now. You go to social media, you see all sorts of funny things going on in the social media. Some of them are even scandalous.
Yeah.
They are scandalous. You have a marriage ceremony, and the irony of it is when marriage ceremonies become too expensive, after a few months they crumble. So it is not the money that holds the marriage. No, it's not how much you spend that holds the marriage. It is the intention of the couples, the intention to keep the marriage going in spite of everything. It's not the amount of millions that you spend. You see it, they are all in social media. Billions spent on marriage ceremonies. After less than a year, it crumbles. It goes the way of the wind because the orientation was wrong ab initio.
Okay.
The same burial, I just mentioned an instance. The old man died in penury. And yet when he dies, they buy coffins that are out of this world. In those days, coffins were modest. I saw one in front of, don't forget that this office is very close to where they make coffins and all sort of things. The area is known for that. Yeah. I saw one day, it was in form of an aeroplane. Yes, for the old man.
An easy flight to,
yeah, so that
he
can have an easy flight to heaven or somewhere. An aeroplane, that was the design. And people were now asking, how will they drop the aeroplane to the grave?
Okay.
But I heard later on that they cut the wings and still lower the thing into.
And that will still end up stopping his flight halfway.
So halfway. Because it didn't take off to even start.
Well, still on flamboyant spending. We'll take it a little because I like to always deviate to the Nigerian factor, the Nigerian side. We've seen a situation where some people, in the course of having celebrated flamboyantly, they get arrested later. Looking at it from the legal point of view, is this right?
Because that will explain something. Maybe before the ceremony, they had assignments, they had commitments with the police.
Okay.
So they may have been all over the place, the police looking for them. So it's an opportunity. I've seen people who were arrested in the middle of burial ceremonies. Okay? And it has happened many times. But look at this. The federal government, I think they need to really do this. This idea of spraying money.
Okay.
Yes.
We're coming to
it
that.
is absurd. It is immoral. If you want to give the celebrant something, put it in an envelope. In fact, it's an assault on our currency. Have you ever seen Americans spraying dollars? No. I know we're in two different cultures. Or the British man spraying pounds. Because they have no value on the naira. It's a worthless paper. So you just pray. But if it has value, they won't do that. No, they won't, because that is the sign of our sovereignty. Some people even put the currencies on the ground, and people match these currencies. Yes, they match them, put their feet on them, and all of that. I mean, you see all these things are so ridiculous, highly ridiculous. Why don't you do things quietly? Okay. If you want to celebrate your birthday, for instance, you can do it quietly. If you want to open your house, do it quietly. If you want to bury any of your parents, you can do it quietly. Go to church, as the case may be, and call friends, a few friends, if you can. All right? Call the neighbors. Call the friends of the man, you know. I attended the wedding ceremony, I think about a couple of days ago, in the church here, St. Joseph, very close to this station. And one of the priests who came around was a white man. He came from the US. Okay. And he was asking, I was there, he was asking these people, what is wrong with them? Are they okay? Because what he saw was unbelievable, even right within the premises of the church. Okay. So we must discourage all of this. Let us stay within limits. If you have all the money to spend, rather than even spend such big amounts of money, why don't you go to the orphanage? The people who are disadvantaged, go to the orphanage. There are many people who cannot feed. You know, you can create a platform for them to feed as part of philanthropy, not to show off. Okay. Yes, and not to be unnecessarily flamboyant. You want to create, rather the social media is even on, people they do all sort of things just to tell others that they have arrived.
Okay, I would apologize. I would apologize for taking you back, because part of the reasons of this discussion is to find out where did this whole thing start from. And I just mentioned the Egbes and all that. Does this also have its root in our culture? Maybe at the time, in your time, be modest was on the silent side, but due to trending times, it still boils down to the elders who are supposed to be custodians of culture that encourage this.
It's greed.
Greed and not...
oh yes, it's greed. There are some family members. When I was burying my father, here, when I was burying my father, he died in 1989. And the Egbe people asked me, what are you now going to do? I said, I want to give him the burial. Okay? Because he was a wonderful man. I was the only child for 17 years, so I needed to pay back for having brought me up the way he did. And they did not go beyond limits. Okay. No, they did not. Okay. Because one of them said, we know your responsibility, you are going to take care of the little ones, which was true. So where they were, they should have asked for something big. It was modest. Okay. Talking of 1989. And that's the way it should be, really.
But that's not the way it is, though.
No, it's not. It's far from it. Particularly with the advent of people traveling abroad and all that. So they want to come back home and show off that, oh yes, they're in Japan or whatever. Whereas they are washing dishes in Japan. They cannot invest in their young ones. They cannot even invest in businesses here. If you know the amount of money people spend for burial ceremonies, you will be shocked. You'll be shocked. And all this Ashwebi and all sort of things that we're talking about, it should be banned. No, honestly, I mean, why do we need that? Why do we need that? You know, and people now they even make money out of it now, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
They make money out of it. What they buy for 1,500, they want to sell you for 5,000. Which is alien to our culture. It's alien to our tradition. It's alien to our values. In Benin, those days, the dead were buried quietly. Now you flaunt caskets. They even put it at the junction somewhere, and people are dancing. One day, something very terrible happened. The casket fell down, and the old woman rolled out. It was that ridiculous, because they were dancing and throwing the casket up like that. They didn't even allow the old woman to rest, even in death. Whereas, should have been buried quietly. Buy drinks and all that, that's not forbidden. Do it quietly, you know. But this time around, I don't know. I think it's an issue that our elders, must look at critically. Very, very critically. It's bringing us into odium, public odium.
Thank you so much, sir. Once again, it's always been an interesting session with Dr. Egariba. I know that so many of you out there, immediately after this program, will start getting calls because so many of you will not agree.
Let us even have comments.
Let us have comments. Yeah, definitely. Once you get to your YouTube channel, for those of you who do not actually know how to reach us even up until now, go to your YouTube, simply type in Providence Television International, and all editions, all our programs, everything, you get it there, both live streams and recorded programs, you get all of that there. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. Like I said, we're welcome, we're open to comments. Like for those of you who might not agree, we are very, very welcome, because we also have programs that these kind of topics come up. We're very, very open for sponsorship, especially for those programs that talk about such things. Do not go away, as we'll be having so much more lined up for your viewing pleasure. But the Morning Drive Saturday edition comes to an end with this, and I know that Dr. Egariba has something to say.
Yes, usually, yes. Why not? September 21st is around the corner. Yes, I keep talking about this. It's going to be a defining moment for Edo State. Election is coming. We say no to thuggery, no to arson, no to ballot box snatching, no to falsification of results. All these are negative attributes. They do not add value to our psyche. They do not add value to our well-being as a people. Edo State is known for excellence. The number of people in this country that Edo State has produced is amazing. I will plead with the politicians, don't bring Edo State down. Please, this election should be free, fair, and credible. And I pray that the best candidate will win.
Well, that has always been a prayer. Let the best candidate win. And just before we go, I want to let you know that later today, we'll be having an eminent personality. There's nobody who is not eminent, as the case may be. No. But then when it talks to a big fish, if I should put it that way, in the Edo State, should I say government, will be in our studios today. Yes, it is not as if this is the first time that eminent personalities are coming here, but I know he is a personality that you want to actually listen to and hear from, because there are topical issues that will be discussed today. So on this note, I will say look forward to that program. Stay tuned to Providence Television International, and once again, thanks for watching.